Welcome back. So in this lecture, we're going to go through two things, and that is one, how much we are willing to spend and set that budget, and number two, when we want to spend that amount. So pretty important stuff, right? Let's dive in. So going down from the previous cost control, we have something here called budget and schedule, which is a little funny because that's what the entire section is actually called. But here we have it, budget and schedule. So the first thing we have is a daily budget, and that is asking us how much are we willing to spend each day on this particular ad set that we have created. So the standard you're probably going to see on yours as well is $20. Now the interesting thing with this is that the daily budget might actually vary. You may not spend $20 each day. It might be lower, but it might also be higher. If we read down here, it says actual amount spent daily may vary. And if I hover my mouse over, it says that you'll spend up towards $25 on some days and less on others to maintain an average daily budget of $20. And that average is going to even out by the end of the week because you will spend no more than $140 per week. All right, so this is important to know because if you are setting up an ad set and you're running it for only 1, 2, 3, or 4 days, you might spend more than what you expected on that budget because they decided to increase it for those days. They would even out by the end of the week, but perhaps you already terminated the ad set by then. So then you will have spent a little bit more than you expected. So this is very important to know because if you're spending a little more than you thought you would by the amount you set up, this is why. So we're not always going to have ad set that's going to be running for a week. Sometimes we're going to terminate them after just a couple of days, and sometimes they're going to be running for months, and if we're really, really lucky, maybe even years. So that is the first type we can set up, and that is a daily budget, how much we're willing to spend each day. So we can decide that either we are going to run the ad set continuously starting today, which is what you're going to be doing most of the time because then you set the ad up and then it's just going. Or you can set a start and end date, right? So it's very simple. Then you would just go and select when you want it to start and select when you want it to end, and you can set the times as well. All right? So right now it's automatically set up for a month, 31 days, and you'll spend no more than, and you can see the total based on this daily budget. All right, so that's a daily budget. Now the other choice that we have would be a lifetime budget. Now a lifetime budget is how much we're willing to spend in total on this entire ad set. So that means that we need to set a start date and we need to set an end date, right? Because we have a lifetime budget, the maximum we're willing to spend here overall. Now, I don't think I've ever used a lifetime budget, and chances are you won't be either, but rather a daily budget is going to be much more stable because we can just get the data. If things are going well, we can just keep it going. If things are going bad, we're just going to terminate it, and we have a better knowledge of how much we're spending on a daily basis. At the very least, an approximate good average on how much we're spending on a daily basis. So what I recommend is that you go for the daily budget and then just run my ad set continuously. You can still terminate it if it's going bad. So if we look to the right, we have already checked our potential reach here, and we've done a good job there. Now going down, we also have estimated daily results, and then you can see how much we're expected to reach on this budget and how many landing page views we're expected to get on this budget. Now this is very rough data. It's based on others' data and it's based on your own data. And since you have no data, if you're completely new and starting up a new account, as you can imagine, this is very, very rough data. At best, if it says that you can expect 0 results, then probably you want to do some adjustments to your ad sets. But generally, this is just no good. It's just not accurate. So just because we're spending $20 a day doesn't mean we can expect this amount. But it is interesting to know that should I decrease it to 10, for example, we can of course see that it's going to lower. So it does give some sort of estimates, but I've never relied on it, and I don't recommend that you rely on it either. It's just that if the numbers are super low, that probably means that you need to do some adjustments, especially in your detailed targeting. So then of course the question is, how much should you be spending, especially in the beginning? Well, I recommend that if you are on a tight budget, you should start off by setting up for no more than $3. That's a pretty good minimum to start off with. If you have, a decent budget, or at the very least you have saved up some money for this, you could go with $5. So there is no right or wrong here. just depends on your budget. But don't go crazy. Don't start off, with your first ads and then go $100. There's no need for that. We need data, and then we'll learn how to scale later on. So $3 or $5 is what I recommend in the very beginning. And also remember that we are going to be creating more ad sets. So that is going to be potentially $3 plus $3 plus $3, and those numbers add up quite quickly. So be careful with your budget and how you're spending it, right? We want to see results in the end, but also understand it might take a little bit of time and practice to get those results we're looking for. So we're just gonna walk that balance between learning, but at the same time, not spending too much, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and do that as well. So for this, I'm going to set a $5, okay? So now we move down to something that's very important, and that is if we go down and we click on show more options, we have something here that says when you get charged, right? So earlier we set up an optimization for our ad delivery. That is, what do we want Facebook to optimize for? Well, now Facebook is asking us, when do you want to get charged? What do you want to be charged for? Rather, when should you be paying for your ads? Now, when we have landing page views, we only have one option, and that is by impressions. And whenever it says impressions, it is always calculated in the same way. And that is calculated by something called CPM, all right? And that is also known as cost per thousand. So you are going to see how much you will be charged per 1,000 views, 1,000 impressions of your ad, right? So in other words, we want to make sure that as many people as possible are actually clicking and loading up the page, the URL, this page per 1,000 views of this ad, per 1,000 impressions. That is the entire goal. So impressions is also sometimes known as CPM, and CPM then stands for cost per thousands. So we don't have any other option than being charged by impression. However, should we go up and we would change to something such as link clicks, we do have another option here known as link clicks, or CPC, right? CPC means cost per click. So that means that you would pay every time someone would be clicking on your ad, or someone would be liking that post, or someone would click on your Facebook page, etc. So here we can employ different strategies, right? Because by impression, if you have a lot of people who are clicking on your ad, and you have a very low cost per having your ad shown 1,000 times, well, then impressions is the way to go, right? But if the reverse is true, you're showing your ads a lot of times, but you're not getting that many clicks, it might actually be cheaper per click to use the CPC option. So as with most things when it comes to Facebook ads overall, we need to test this. We need to see, is it cheaper to pay per 1,000 impressions, or is it cheaper to pay for each click that we're getting, right? Most of the times when we get really proficient at this, it's going to be cheaper generally to pay per impressions, because you want to make sure that you're getting a lot of clicks, a lot of engagement, a lot of people actually going into your ad and the page that you're linking in your ad. And if you have a lot of people doing that and you're being paid per 1,000 times you're showing your ad, then you can get away with a really low cost, but you might sell a lot from your ad. So this is a way to minimize the cost, but maximize the profit that you can make. So the next question is, of course, well, what determines how much a link click costs and what determines the impressions? Well, that is all about your audience. If there are a lot of advertisers that are going for the same audience that you, that means a lot of people are bidding, and the more people that are bidding for that audience, the higher the cost is going to be. That means a higher cost per click and a higher cost per 1,000 impressions. So that is what determines it. But because we want to optimize for landing page views, we don't have any option other than choosing impression. So we are going to choose impression. It's all we have. Just know that you will be charged for when your ad has been shown 1,000 times. Whether you have had 10 people or 100 or 0 people that actually loaded your page and actually clicked on your ad, doesn't matter. You are being paid based on actually showing your ad. And the way we calculate that is by looking at, okay, what are we actually paying per 1,000 1,000 impressions. That is known as our CPM, and that is what we use for all of our calculations. You don't have to remember all of this. It's going to make much more sense as we continue on in the course, I promise you. Then we have ad scheduling, and we have run ads all the time. But what we can do with the ad scheduling is that if we have a lifetime budget, we can actually set it up to run on specific times, on a specific schedule between certain time zones on certain days. Now, this is a very advanced feature and advanced knowledge. So if you know, for example, let's say that you're doing advertising for a restaurant business, and you know that between the certain hours of, say, I don't know, 3 and 5 p.m., you know that your restaurant is quite dead by those times. So what you do is that you run an ad with a discount code at those times to have people come to your restaurant, because that is the void that you need to fill in your business. This is quite clever. Similarly, if you're looking to optimize your budget and you know that you have certain peak hours, which we're going to learn to read from the data later, you might want to optimize a larger part of your budget for those peak hours. Or rather, you might know that there are certain hours that are cheaper, and you might want to optimize your budget towards the cheaper hours. So this is a tool for you to learn how to optimize your ads more precisely. We're not going to use this in the beginning. It is an advanced feature, but just know that when you start getting some serious data, you can start doing this very specific targeting in specific days, specific times of the day, and even skipping certain days, like maybe weekends. You know that there are too many advertisers running, so you don't want to run them on weekends to save up your budget, etc., etc. As you move along in the course and as you continue making more ads, you're going to get more data and you're going to learn what works and what doesn't. This is just another tool for you to optimize your ads along the way, right? We're not going to use this now. It's not used that often, but as you go along, depending on the data you're getting, you might want to use this in the future. So for now, we're just going to have run ads all the time. And we're going to go back and we're going to set this to a daily budget. And as you know, with Facebook, they want you to spend as much as possible, so they don't set us back to $5, they set us back to $20. This is just something to keep an eye out whenever you're doing any changes. Same goes with placement. If you change too much and you change between the devices, they will reset everything. They want you to spend as much as possible. So just keep an eye out for that. So run my ad continuously. Now we're back. And then going down, the final thing we have is delivery type here. And delivery type is a little bit special. Now, it's not something that we're going to be using now, but it is something that is important to know how to use, because you might want to use it in the future. So in the next lecture, I'm going to show you exactly what it is and exactly how it works. See you in the next lecture.